everyone, and I am here to talk about the fifth Victorian book of 2023 that I read, the fifth new to me Victorian book, and that is The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. I have been meaning for years now to read some H.G. Wells science fiction. A couple of years ago during Victober, I tried The Island of Dr. Moreau and did not get on with it. I think at some point I will kind of loop back around, but I'm in a very specific kind of Victorian literature mood when I'm in Victober, and I'm just not willing to really struggle with a book that I normally would DNF during a readathon. But I feel I have less high expectations for the Victorian literature that I read outside of Victober. I don't know why that is, but that is the way that it is. And so I wanted to try The Invisible Man. Now, this is a book that my hopes were dashed because I started reading it, and the first few chapters, I was like, this is 5-star material. I cannot believe how much I am enjoying this. It is basically like a science fiction novel plopped into a village that Miss Marple would live in. It was so cozy but tense at the same time. So like a cozy British mystery, and there was a lot of mysterious elements. Who is the Invisible Man? How did he get to be that way? But it was still science fiction. So a really cool, kind of electric combination, and so different from any other Victorian reading that I do that I was like, oh my goodness, where has this story been all my life? Is it going to be another action-packed Victorian book that I love, like Treasure Island? And then my hopes were dashed. So I was thoroughly enjoying it. It starts out where the Invisible Man checks into this hotel, and he's wearing sunglasses and a scarf and a big jacket and gloves to cover up his invisible hands, or rather to cover up the fact that he is invisible. And the innkeeper is very unsure about him. She lets him get a room, and then he goes upstairs. And then eventually, a few days go by, and he has all of these different colored vials in his room. She doesn't know what is going on. The townspeople are all speculating, what is up with this guy, what is happening. All of that was thrilling. And then a big turn of events, which these are all spoilers, so I won't get into that part. But some crazy things happened to the Invisible Man, and I was just following, couldn't stop turning the pages, kept reading and thinking this book is so good. And then we hit maybe the 50% mark, and the Invisible Man ends up meeting up with an old acquaintance. And with this old acquaintance, he then proceeds to tell the entire story of how he came to be the Invisible Man. So it jumps back before the beginning of the story, and you're in a story about the past. And I have not found yet a book with that plot device that I have loved. I never like being taken out of the present that I'm in with the story and then having to go back. In a way, it feels like the author is just, they couldn't figure out how to start the story at the beginning. So they're like, I know, I'll kind of copy and paste it then at the beginning. If I could have started when the Invisible Man first became invisible and then follow his adventure, why are you jerking me out of the present day storyline? And I'm bored when I go back to the past. I do not care. I want to know what is happening now. So as soon as I realized that was the plot device that was going to happen, I was like, okay, I will finish this because it is not long. I think it's 160 pages, 170 pages for a Victorian novel. That's insane. So I definitely was like, no, I'm going to finish it. I'm just not going to love it. And so I think even though it ended up getting 3 stars, it felt like 2 stars because I had come in thinking 5-star read for sure. I'm so excited. Cannot wait to continue with this. And then when my hopes were all dashed, then I thought, I'm not so sure about this. And it made me very, very disappointed. So I did thoroughly enjoy his actual writing. It was really engaging. Also, I did not expect there to be some genuine moral dilemmas that you have, which also shows that I am such a novice at science fiction because I know that is something that Science fiction lends itself to really well, kind of moral dilemmas in life and answering the bigger questions of life, the meaning of life. And I wasn't going in expecting that. So it had a lot of elements to love. It was just the order of the story. So honestly, I could see myself rereading this and starting at him telling his story and then going back to the beginning of the book and then skipping to the last chapters, kind of reading it in the sequential order, but insequential with how the book was published. So any of you out there that don't like that also in the story, if it starts out at the beginning where a character is telling you about the past, I don't mind that because you're still getting, you're kind of very presently in that story. Jane Eyre, she starts out telling you her life story. And so you feel like you are very much in that life story and you don't get yanked out of it. Like you're looking in the pensive in Harry Potter and then get yanked out all of a sudden. That's what it feels like to me when an author decides to lay out a story that way. So I think it's my personal taste, but I'm curious if anyone out there feels the same way. That is the 5th Victorian book of 2023, and I look forward to telling you about the next ones. I do have Can You Forgive Her on pause. I have so much trouble just dedicating time to a Victorian audiobook that is that long. And I don't think it's going to happen during March, which is fine because I am loving life during middle grade March. But I do have 2 Victorian middle grade that I will be reading, which is Moonfleet and The Young Pretenders. So I'm not really getting behind on my project. But then in April, I will be definitely diving back into Can You Forgive Her? I forget how many hours I am into the audiobook, but there are a few kind of tangential chapters, they feel like when they're doing fox hunting and things. I'm not quite as interested in those, but any of the other chapters I am just gobbling up and I adore them whenever I read them. So thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.